Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Youtini Show. Tonight, live for the first time, your one-stop shop for all things going on in Star Wars. I am Eric here with Corey and Wes, and tonight we got a bunch to get into. Ahsoka has reportedly found its new Baylan Skoll thanks to Game of Thrones. Director James Mangold says that his new film won't be handcuffed by lore. We figure out what's next for Star Wars animation, and of course, we get into our final skeleton group predictions ahead of tomorrow's finale. But in our first story tonight, we have some news that folks have been eagerly awaiting for quite some time. Now, Baylan Skoll was one of the standout characters of Ahsoka Season 1, but unfortunately, Ray Stevenson, the actor who played him, tragically passed away mere months before the show's premiere. Now, Skoll's story clearly had more to come based on Season 1's finale, and it looks like we are going to get more of that story in the form of Rory McCann of Game of Thrones fame, where he played the Hound. Now, Corey, I'm going to start with you. Before we even talk about McCann himself, do you think recasting this role was the right move?
The answer is yes.
Good.
That is my final answer for $1 million. Yes, I think it was absolutely the right call to recast Baylan Skoll. The CGI has been really impressive. CGI Luke was really impressive. CGI Tarkin from Rogue One was really impressive, but unnecessary, I think. I really just appreciate the practical, effects. We all get it. People can't be angry about this. They can and they will, but they can't really be angry. I mean, why'd they recast him? But the guy just died. What's a big deal? So
or right around him. I think that you're absolutely right. We've talked on the Old Living Force show. We talked on this show extensively about our love for recasting. I mean, I am famously Alden Ehrenreich lover, Donald Glover lover, and Solo. That was so good.
Yeah, same.
And I think my personal fear was that they were almost going to abandon the Skoll storyline, almost saying we want to, honor him by just kind of pushing it to the side. Kind of like what they did with Carrie Fisher in Rise of Skywalker, because obviously that was supposed to be more of Leia's movie, and they shot around, with the footage that they had, but clearly there could have been so much more. And I think now having this new actor, his talent aside, which we'll get to, this does allow that story to finish out because, I don't know if this is blasphemous or this is weird to say, but Star Wars as a franchise, as a galactic story, is bigger than any generation of people. It continues on going. So, we will get someone else maybe playing Luke and Han someday. You know what I mean? It's not unheard of that the story will need to go further than that. Wes, what do you think? Do you think that this was the right move? Do you think that this is going to be a little bit of a risk? What do you think?
I think it was the right. I actually think that casting or the guy from Game of Thrones is a fantastic addition because he is a giant man, and I assume they're gonna have put him in the same facial hair and same gray hair or whatever to make kind of resemble the same character, obviously. But I mean, they can do wild stuff to make you think that it kind of doesn't look the same, but as long as they portrays the same character, I'm cool with it. Back to the Future did it with the girlfriend. Back to the Future Part 1 and Part 2. I didn't really tell when I was little, so I mean they did great things 30 years ago. They can do great things now.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I don't resent the fact either that they did it with Carrie Fisher in The Rise of Skywalker. That's literally the worst case scenario. I mean, one of the big three. I mean, that highlights the challenge of going with the big three, which I've kind of always said was maybe not the right call in a lot of ways. But this sucks. I mean, the reality of the situation sucks. And it takes you out of the universe. It takes you out of the escapism. It takes you out of, you have to stop and pause for a minute to say that, oh, wow, this is actually TV. Yeah. These are real people. These are real actors. And there's going to be a moment where it's noticeable in the next season as well. And we all just kind of have to accept that. But I think that's the right way to do it. I wish they had recast young Luke, in Mandalorian, because it's, I think.
Oh, you mean with the guy that looked exactly like a young Mark Hamill, sounded exactly like a young Mark Hamill, and instead they CGI'd over his face?
For some reason, which was noticeable, and it took us all out. So I think that's worse than just recasting it, maybe.
Yeah. If you haven't seen, folks, those behind the scenes pictures of Book of Boba Fett, both look them up and also don't look them up because it's the weirdest thing where he just looks like Mark Hamill. Same thing with the guy who did Tarkin in Rogue One. He sounded exactly like Peter. Anyway,
He did.
that's neither here nor there. But
as long as we can get past, just you looking over to your friend and just saying, "Hey, by the way, this is the guy they recast," and you're just like, "All right, get past it," and then just enjoy. Let's see how well he portrayed. I mean, he was dynamite in Game of Thrones. Dynamite.
Oh my gosh! So
what
good.
if he still had the scars on his face? Like you could just see a little bit.
Well, they could explain it. What if they explain it a little bit? Like, actually, somebody in the chat is kind of talking about that. Maybe adapt to the change in the script. That's a good way of looking at it. It'd be fun, I think.
Well, we know at the end of Ahsoka, he's standing on that statue of the father, right? What if season 2 starts and he just goes, and he just falls off of it?
Just scrapes his cheek.
Scrapes his cheek up. It's like, well, funny enough, that's why the Wampa attacks in Empire, right? Because Mark Hamill was in that car accident.
That's right.
So they had to say why was his face
nearly
different.
freaking killed him. Can you imagine if Mark Hamill had been tragically killed in a car wreck, like right before he was supposed to be in Empire? Oh my gosh. What would Star Wars even look like? Would it even exist?
Would we even have it? Yeah.
I know. Real question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think this now, speaking of Roy McCann, so you brought him up, Wes, like, yes, he is the Hound on Game of Thrones. He had all the scars and stuff, but he's been in a bunch of other stuff. He was just in Gladiator 2. He was actually in Hot Fuzz, funny enough. And he's in the Knuckles TV show. Yeah, like he's done comedy too.
Okay.
He's got, he's one of those British actors that has a big range. But I think it'll be interesting because if they make his story impactful, like we all thought Baylan Skoll's story was very interesting in season 1, right? It had a lot of mystery. So clearly he's going to have a lot of, meat in the second one. He's probably going to end up with as much of, if not more screen time than Ray Stevenson did. So by the end of the season, I wonder how we're going to feel since they're going to be almost like, split in half. Like based on what you've seen of him so far, do you think that he's going to try to almost replicate Ray's performance a bit, or do you think it's just going to be Baylan Skoll and it's going to be a totally different interpretation?
I think every actor has their own. They have their own way about portraying that character. So I think it might be a little different. I don't know that he might pay some various points or an homage or something to Ray Stevenson by the way of his acting ability, but I think he's going to make it his own because faking somebody else's acting ability, I don't know that will portray as genuine when you're on screen. But I mean, that's what actors do, though. They fake everything.
Pretend. Yeah, they're not. Those scars weren't actually real, Wes. I hate to be that guy.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Your next rewatch of Game of Thrones is going to be real rough, other than when it gets real rough in season 7.
Wait a minute. That wasn't filmed like ages and ages ago, and we just found the hidden tapes? They just didn't find
it in a tomb.
That wasn't a real... Okay. I'm going to have to cut the show short.
We're destroying all kinds of preconception on the show tonight.
Okay, have a good cry. Also, his character is not Baylan Skoll is not really well developed yet either. So like it's a good time to do it, I feel like.
Yeah.
We still don't really know anything about his backstory. We don't really know anything about why he is the way that he is. Like he's got a orangey red lightsaber. Why? Like we don't really know. Like
he's got a presence and he talks in riddles a bit of what is meant to come. Yes, you don't see what will be and what is on the way on the horizon. I'm like, nope, I don't, Baylan.
That's how he does.
I sure don't. I would love to.
Now that I think about it, like pretty much all of the live action TV shows just have gigantic gaping plot holes that like have not been really explained at all. They're not plot holes. They're just unexplained details that we really know nothing about. Which is interesting. Yeah, teases something else.
Yeah, so
spin-off potential.
Exactly, right? They're keeping everything open, and of course, with the behind the scenes stuff we've all heard is that this is likely going to be probably the end of the Ahsoka series. That'll go into the big team up movie that Filoni is going to do, and then
Star Wars: The Avengers with
Star Wars: The
Mandalorian
Avengers, the Mando Avengers.
Yeah, basically,
which we'll find out. But there's an interesting thing of where this might become almost more his role if he does that too. I mean, I find franchises so fascinating like this. I mean, very few people think about Ed Norton and Eric Bana as the Hulk anymore, but they were in Hulk movies before Mark Ruffalo. He was the third.
Yeah,
I know.
That's true.
Lou Ferrigno, Wes, I'm not going to disrespect.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I saw it. I saw it in your eyes. You were going green for a little bit there, but for like movie film, there were 3 Hulks right before we got to to him. And
Superman and all
Terrence
them.
Howard played Ward Machine before Don
I know.
Cheadle.
Yeah.
That's right. It's fine. You can move on. It's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be the same people forever. Like, in fact, it's almost kind of weird about Star Wars how, like, Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker on all of the Star Wars Legends books. It's just Mark Hamill on the cover. Like, that's weird.
It's just Mark Hamill. There's not a drawing.
It's kind of weird.
Mark Hamill.
It's literally just Mark Hamill, like in the way they did a lot of the artwork and stuff. And it's like, that's kind of weird, right? Like, he had nothing to do with that. He absolutely has not read any of that stuff, right? So, like, but he's in it. It's Mark.
Mark Hamill's in it. He's like Jude Law.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he does with it. And part of me is also interested for the press thing. Because I think the press leading up to Rise of Skywalker did a great job of honoring Carrie, but they were talking around a lot of stuff. And I think that they the expectations for the film were kind of odd in that way, right? Like, it's the only time people have gone into a major motion picture knowing that the main character.
I know, but they also promised up and down they're definitely not going to do that, and then they did it, which was very weird. You remember that? All the post Rise of Last Jedi stuff. They're like, we're definitely not going to, recast or use CGI. We think that would be disrespectful, and then they literally did that. So exactly.
Yeah, they absolutely CGI'd some of that, and like, which you have to, and it just.
I don't know what I don't know what they would have done, honestly. Like, I literally have no better alternative. I mean,
like, they had their hands tied.
We open the movie and like it shows a split second of her and then like a planet crashes. Like, what would we have possibly done? Like, I have no idea. Yeah.
Gosh, looking back on that is always such a point in the Star Wars history of the on-screen, off-screen colliding in a way that's never happened and will never happen again, frankly. Even this, there's like a whole season, they're writing it for a different actor. It's not that they have no one else. It's not that he was a main three. Like, his performance was really great. And I actually think I heard at least a rumor, I didn't verify this, that Rory McCann and Ray Stevenson were friends. Like, they knew each other in real life. So I'm sure that he'll like to honor his friend. And like I was saying in the publicity lead up, I'm sure there will be a lot of talk about honoring Ray. Like, the first season says for our friend Ray in the credits. Like, I think they're going to be very cognizant of knowing what that is and then saying, but now we're honoring that with an homage. This performance is an homage, and it will always be two men. And I don't know. I hope that they do a really good job with it. I hope that aside from this, the season's very good, because I think this is a great, heartwarming story of people coming together to make a character and continue on. I don't think the scripts are written, though. Like, I think we're still waiting for Filoni to
nobody
write it,
nobody knows what this show's about, I think, at all. Like,
Dave might.
I'm not sure I know what the show's about either, honestly. Like, season 1 was just Star Wars Rebels in live action, which was a wild experience. And absolutely, like, I don't know what what is the Ahsoka show? Is it even about Ahsoka, really? It doesn't actually seem like it. So who knows? Who knows? It's kind of about Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka plus other characters that we know and love, and Dave Filoni especially knows and loves.
Yeah, Ahsoka Plus is actually the new the streaming service where you can only get the Ahsoka series, and all of her Clone Wars episodes they're going to take off of Disney Plus. So you're actually going to buy by character. It's about $3 a month, and it goes up to $8 after 2 years.
You're buying skins. It should be called Ahsoka featuring Dave Filoni, like they do on like albums, like on the back, like for the tracks and stuff. Like,
he's like the Pharrell of Star Wars.
It's really just Dave Filoni. That's what the show's about, actually. It's just Dave Filoni's imagination. That's what the Ahsoka show is.
Dave Filoni's imagination. What's in the toy box today? Maybe it's Embo, which is another rumor we actually won't be talking about tonight, but maybe it will be. We'll see. Either way, we'll see what happens when the show comes out. Again, it's supposed to be filming, I think, either spring or summer this year, so I'm sure at Celebration we'll hear more. But before we get too much further into the show, we want to take a quick second to let you all know that this episode is brought to you by the United, the official Youtini community. Now, by joining the United, you'll not only receive ad-free shows and exclusive merch drops, you will get unlimited access to our Discord full of enthusiastic Star Wars fans that want nothing more than to welcome you. Now, that is filled with daily conversations, weekly polls, and monthly events. The United is powered by a community of intentional positivity, and that makes it the best place for you to celebrate your fandom and engage with fans who love everything you do the way you do. And by heading to youtini.com/community, you can sign up for a whole year of the United and save 15% when you use code Youtini Show. That's code Youtini Show, one word, for 15% off your first year of the United. So head over now and get signed up to check out our amazing events and connect with your favorite podcast hosts, even if they're not us. We will not take offense. Thank you again to everyone in our community for their incredible support. And now, back to the show. Oh my gosh, is it me? It is me, isn't it? My goodness. I have missed my own transition. But I'm going to say it, everyone, because Henry was solid. Oh, goodness. Well, now, guys, we're going to take a trip from that small screen to the big screen because, believe it or not, we got some actual, somewhat real morsels of Star Wars movie news this week. I'm kind of semi-serious because during press for his phenomenal film, A Complete Unknown, director and writer James Mangold offered a brief update on his upcoming Star Wars project, which for some reason we've all just agreed and decided to start calling Dawn of the Jedi. There has been no official confirmation of that. But when asked about the film's time period, said to be 25,000 years before the Skywalker saga, Mangold said, quote, "I'm not that interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point that it's almost immovable and you can't please everybody." Now, he also talked about the importance of originality in the script, but I want to hit that quote specifically first. Fellas, what do you think about Mangold's attitude towards the all precious canon here? Are we digging too deep into it, or did he really say that I'm kind of sick of having to tie everything together?
I think this actually might be one of those issues of taking things way out of context.
Okay.
A little bit.
I think I'm with you.
I did see this quote. I saw a bunch of debate on Twitter and on Reddit about it, and a lot of people yelling about this idea. But honestly, it kind of seems like he's talking about like he wanted to do a show in this era because he's not handcuffed by the lore, because it's so far away from everything. That's kind of how I interpreted it, actually. Like, it kind of sounds like we're in the head of the artist a little bit, and he's not communicating that super well. But actually, he just means, I want to do something in the Old Republic because there's not stuff I can break there, and it won't make everybody so mad. It's better and easier for me in my creative style. That's kind of how I interpreted that a little bit. What about you guys?
I mean, like, your hands are tied if you're doing anything that has any kind of content or context within the sequel trilogy, original trilogy, prequels, any of that. So somebody is going to you're going to get backlash from somebody, obviously. But if you go back, hundreds of thousands of years and it hasn't been touched, you can basically make it your own with, the caveat of there's got to be lightsabers, there's got to be Jedi, and then maybe Sith, maybe not. But it's like the world is your oyster. Oh gosh. Yeah. So I think it's the right move because, I mean, just like we've seen countless times after any Star Wars movie has come out, there is backlash. There's something that somebody doesn't like, and then a whole trove of people will jump on the bandwagon and agree, and then it'll start, just a bunch of nonsense that's probably not true and just ruins the fandom for people. So I'm not saying that it's gonna make everybody happy, but I think it's gonna make less people mad. That's probably what you're working for, right? I think it's a good
way to say it. I think it's a good way to say it. And I think I totally get what you mean by, him getting out ahead of stuff, but also it sounds like he's more thankful for a good thing than trying to get out of a bad thing. Because he's not saying, I want to get away from continuity.
Yeah.
He's saying, this is so cool because I can move however I want. I can do these things, which is hilarious and a little ironic because he's doing this on tour for a biopic about Bob Dylan, which is pretty fixed lore, right? It's like he's doing literal facts.
They're fixed lore. That's funny.
He literally apparently wrote the script for the movie for A Complete Unknown, which if you all haven't seen is very good. And he sat down with Bob Dylan himself and they read the script together, and Bob Dylan voiced all the lines of him as Bob Dylan and said, okay, yeah, that sounds right. Like he signed off on it after he said it out loud in front of James Mangold. So I bet he's like, okay, cool. I have no wiggle room in this film. Now I can do whatever I want. I mean,
I know.
And you think about that, that's what the era's kind of based on.
Yeah, I also feel like that's a little more acceptable. Like I was thinking about KOTOR a lot today. I'm working on some Revan content for our site, and I'm thinking a lot of KOTOR stuff, and I was thinking about some of the weird stuff that's in KOTOR that you just accept, like it's no big deal. Okay, so one of my favorite examples of this is that, you play as Revan, right? That's like the thing. That's the whole thing about KOTOR. And like the Jedi have like wiped his mind, and he's like trying to live as a light side guy now, right? Again. And you never like meet anybody on the Jedi Council. Instead, you're like, you're flown out to like Dantooine in this tiny little like sub council thing. And I specifically, and even though we're dealing with like galaxy ending problems as the hero, of course, as you do, and but you never like meet the Jedi Council. And I remember that being a dialogue option as a kid. Like there's like one of the questions when you're talking to one of the masters, you can ask something about the Jedi Council on Coruscant, and the response is basically, "Oh, they're busy." It's just like,
really?
Too busy for this? Like,
too busy for the return of Darth Revan?
The Sith, they're about to kill everybody in the galaxy. They're too busy for this. Like, I remember that. But you just like accept it and move on. And it's something about it being like in the past and history. I feel like that makes it a little more acceptable. So like,
well, and after the revelation happens, you're like, what? And they basically say, just get over it. And then you don't just massacre everybody. Like it's not like you mess with my brain. It's like, well, yeah, but
I know. So like if in this movie, what I'm trying to say is if in this movie, like the Jedi can like all shoot force lightning out of their fingers, like we just have to accept it. That's how it was then. Like, and that's fine. Like that's the new lore.
Different time. You kids nowadays, we're not gonna shoot people with force light. We get it. It was a different time. Okay.
Exactly. In that age, we use the life drain force power, the most OP power ever, to like keep the Jedi Masters on the Council living a lot longer. So you know, Sinube can just live forever now. That's how they did it then. So we're cool with it. All right,
we're cool with it now.
We have to accept it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about also speaking of those old, legends texts, as it were. I mean, Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. If y'all have not read it, and I'm sure so many unfortunate people are gonna Google that book when this movie comes out and read it and have no idea what's going on.
I know.
Because that is like about the Jedi. There's like backpack battery powered lightsabers. It's like
Makes
just
sense.
wild, and it doesn't really affect anything outside some of the comics that happened back then. But really, none of the other legends canon, if you will, was affected by it. And I think Mangold has seen that and getting a little excited because he also had a second quote that said, "It was an area and a playground that I've always wanted to explore and that I was inspired by as a teenager." So he's been thinking about this old Republic era for a long time. And I think as
first of all, same.
Why didn't they ask me? I am the same.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. He's just like us. And I think we've seen with things like Skeleton Crew, where John Watts said that he originally pitched it back in like 2017 because he wanted this specific kind of story. These filmmakers that have been thinking about this for a long time and now can finally just make it is going really well. So it seems like they're listening to the show. First of all, we've been saying this for years. Just let people make what they want and give them a lot of money.
I know.
But if this works, and he really has the freedom that he's saying that he does, and he's excited as he says he is, what kind of fresh air in life do you think this can breathe into the franchise? Because we know what the Mando movie will do. We know what the Rey movie can do. Like, if those work, we get the next steps. But if Dawn of the Jedi works, what do you do if you're Lucasfilm? Like, is there a step 2 or just
Old Republic?
Cool.
Old Republic.
There's that gap you got to fill in, and my oh my, like how so many thousands of years you can do with countless trilogies, duologies, nanodecologies.
There it is. That vocab word of the decade
for
probably
West
not
even
right
how
there.
it's pronounced anymore. It probably just got jumbled up in my mind from 2 years ago. But I mean, should that be have y'all read Dawn of the Jedi?
I have not read Dawn of the Jedi.
I own it.
So.
I sure own it.
Should that be a homework assignment to read it and see if it has any kind by the time the movie is finished. So you got.
I was gonna say in 4 years.
Yeah. So you got
Yeah,
time.
we definitely should. Also,
Definitely read that within 4 years.
where the hell did Dawn of the Jedi even come from? Where did that title come from? Why do we call it that?
I think it's because of that old book, honestly. And there's the old comics. Like I think it's just like we're calling it Dawn of the Jedi. Like it's kind of like how people called Rey's movie New Jedi Order colloquially because we just assume that's what it is. I think
That's
it's
probably
just being
true.
stolen right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what else you got to call it? We have to put something on the website. Like
Exactly.
what are we gonna call it? Like unnamed Mangold's film? That seems less fun.
Yeah.
Is it technically not like the oldest book when it goes back in like timeline years?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
so
is.
It is.
It is. I think there is some important stuff. Kelly Knox says in the chat that
Kelly's
it's what it's called. It's what it's called on the Star Wars website. That's right. That's what the era is called.
Oh,
that's why they call it that.
Why could it be?
Why was it so difficult for us to nail that?
I don't know.
down?
We know that it's on our site. I know. Yeah. Okay. That's the obvious answer.
Too much. All right, shut it down, Wes. Thank you, everybody. Credibility all gone.
There are some.
Demoralized.
What I was gonna say though is like I imagine there have to be like some kind of hard rules to some degree of like what is like truly lore breaking like for Star Wars. Like I mean, if we
would
like
think, Corey.
I mean,
You would think, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true because like I used to say things like time travel can never ever be brought into Star Wars because that would be game breaking, and then we got the World Between Worlds and it was done.
There's no way Stinky
fairly
the Hut
well.
will ever return.
Force projection.
He's
Exactly.
a main character. He's
I
an
know.
Emmy. Stinky the Hut is an Emmy winner, Corey. There's
yeah.
no rules anymore.
That is technically correct, the best kind of correct. So yeah, I'm open to whatever they do with this. Honestly, some fresh air could be good. You know, something totally new.
Yeah.
I don't know how new they'll have to make it. I mean, that's a very tough creative exercise. There's so much lore that's already been done, but we've seen lots of fun ideas. You know, in recent time, the High Republic doing all kinds of cool, fun stuff. Like with the monsters was cool in the High Republic. The lightsabers powering the ships was cool.
Oh
like,
my God.
there's lots of like small, cool stuff they can do. So like, I don't know, creatives are gonna create, and that's just how it is.
There are so many cool things the High Republic did, and the lightsabers powering the vectors and being the reason they can shoot energy out of the vectors is one of the coolest things that happened. Has not been touched in a long time. And Charles Soule, hey man, hope you're doing well. Thanks for listening to the show. If you put more of that in Trials of the Jedi, my heart is yours. My soul, I'll go to battle for you. That's all I want. Bring it back. That would be great. But for Dawn of the Jedi, I will say, Corey, when you're in Tokyo, standing on that show floor on day one at, I don't know, 7 a.m., 4 p.m., whatever time it is here, I hope that Mangold comes out on stage and you get a logo of the film or a title, an official title, an official something. Because I like Dawn of the Jedi, but I also want it in a cool font. And I also want it to be
me too.
on our articles on the site. I want to put actual pictures of the logo.
It's a really fun topic, honestly. Like the whole early origins of the Jedi is a really cool topic. I'm really interested to see what they do with this. And is it like true origins? Is it going to be like I don't know, like native peoples type of origins, or is it going to be more like you know, a little further forward than that? Like, I mean, what's it going to be like? You know,
how many Palpatines will there be?
Yeah.
You know, just one? 4?
At least 4.
At least 4.
I don't know.
Always 4 there are, no more, no less. The rule of 4, famously.
The rule of 4. That would be great. It needs to be something. It needs to be something more arbitrary, like 7. The rule of 7.
Rule of 7.
It has to be an odd number so you can settle ties. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God. They're like the rule of 7. It just makes sense. And then one guy like trips and like drops the tablets, and part of the orbesh gets broken. It's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
That's a Family Guy episode. We got these 15 commandments. And he drops one. 10 commandments.
10 commandments. Guys, this is why, as everyone says, they should let the fans write the movies.
That's terrible. Absolutely not. It's not even joking matter. You can't do that.
I'm excited. I hope we see more soon.
Yeah. Well, I can't be more. I can't wait for more news about the Dawn of the Jedi, which I'm sure we're gonna get at Celebration. In April, in Tokyo. But that's not the only news that we're hoping to hear about. Believe it or not, there has been this is really true. There has been a Star Wars animation project, a canon animation project at that, every single year since 2008. Think about that for a second. Every single year since 2008, there has been a Star Wars animated project that's actively on TV, if you don't count the year between season 5 and 6 of Clone Wars. But besides that one, and since Bad Batch has ended last year, we really haven't heard anything about animation. We've speculated a lot on this show, and while there's still nothing official announced, there's a new rumor that started popping up this week that there are not one, but two animated projects currently in the works at Lucasfilm. Now, over on our site, our very own Stephen Smith wrote an article about why the best choice, in our opinion, for one of these shows would be Luke Skywalker himself. And you got to go check that out if you haven't already. But Eric, let me ask you this to start this conversation a little bit, talking about these new animated shows. Do you really think this is true? Tell us about the source of some of these rumors. And is it possible that there are two shows in the works? What do you think?
I like the idea of it. I will say that. This was going around for a while. I believe it was Daniel RPK who has a lot of good stuff and has some stuff that doesn't happen, but said there were two animated shows that are currently in the pipeline. Now, work-wise, this makes sense, right? I mean, Star Wars live action, there's always been multiple going on. Obviously, you want to put your resources in multiple bins. And because we've had such a long break since the end of Bad Batch, and since we knew Bad Batch was ending, like we've known season 3 was the last season before it airs. So there's like been multiple years of us knowing that there was a clear gap that was going to be need to be filled. Now we do have Visions coming out, which is again not canonical, so it's kind of in that middle ground way. But I think the way Star Wars has been producing content, they don't like to just say one thing at a time. They like to say, "Here's our next 5 shows. Here's our next 3 movies." Here, they to their detriment. Occasionally, right? Because some of them don't come out. But I think having 2 shows come out is very likely. And when we posted this today on Twitter and Blue Sky, a lot of folks, I was kind of shocked how many folks got really excited about the prospect, but only if there was no more Clone Wars. I mean, vehemently. No one wants clones. We love the Clone Wars. We love Bad Batch. But oh my God, guys, the amount of people that were like, I'm done. I'm so done. If I see another clone, I swear to God.
Do you think
get,
that?
Right?
Do you think a couple of these projects could be stuff that we sort of already know about, things like Visions and the Tales series that they've been running and things like that, or do you think
Tales
that these
would make sense? I think a third Tales season might be the second one. I think one has to be ongoing though. One's got to be like
surely in
that animation style, like a Rebels or a Clone Wars or something, or Resistance, which was on for a couple seasons.
I know. Well, they built all those. I don't know how it works in animation if it's like video game design, but I'm sure they built the technology and the game engine, if you will, for the technology to work. So, you know, they got good at that art style, and it's really good. We've talked about this before. Bad Batch is really, really good. It's really pretty to look at. So, you know,
that was my guess. I was thinking that maybe they do something with the sequel trilogy with Resistance and kind of build off of Resistance because it only had those 2 seasons. Maybe they can either use the same animation, use a different type of animation, but I think the sequel trilogy hasn't been touched quite as that sounds strange. Hasn't been touched quite as much as the original trilogy.
It's true though. it's true though, and like it would be a breath of fresh air in a lot of ways if we got a true animated show just literally right in the middle of the Resistance versus the First Order. That'd be fun. I think a lot. Like I would enjoy that. But because
that was the other question, right? Of like, what if there are 2 shows? What is it? Like I see people in the chat now saying that maybe the Tales one is like Tales of the Rebels or we had Jedi and Empire. So that's now, is it just going to be on the ground, folks? And then what is the big show? What is the main show?
I don't know.
And I think
we need a main show. We need something to debate about. There's something that's going to tear the fandom apart. Something good. You know what I'm saying?
22 episodes of 22 minutes each, like every single week. Take it.
Visions is cool. The Tales series are cool, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make you want to turn around and say something to the guy behind you in line at Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I am. And yes, it is because Steven wrote about this on the site that it's on my mind, but I think it also makes sense. And I see people in the chat saying the same thing. And Corey, you have wanted this for a while. I think we go between 6 and 7. I think we take the Golden Trio, even though we just said we don't need them and everything.
Yeah.
Take Han, Luke, and Leia. They've been touched a little bit in the comics, but like, give me a young Ben Solo, get Luke's Academy, get the First Order Rising. Like, this is such a cool era. Get a little bit of like, if you want Finn being a stormtrooper, I don't care how far ahead you go on it. Like, there's so much possibility in there.
I know.
And
it is.
You want to get us hyped for Rey's movie again? Remind us that exists.
I know.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
there's less
want it.
debate about the animation too, right? You can kind of do what you want.
I kind of feel like they're holding on to like the origin of the First Order, or just like getting into more detail with that. Like they're holding on to that for something else. Yeah, for like they got some big plan for where this is gonna where you're gonna flesh this whole thing out, but they won't. They won't give it to us,
Wes. I don't care
They
for
won't
that.
give it to us. So I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, but I don't know that I would like it in so much in a animation style as I would like in TV series or a movie or something. But if you could touch on it, somewhere, then I would like that more than anything we talked about, whether it be something about Han, Leia, Ben Solo. It'd be great, but if they also incorporated part of the First Order, I mean, that's kind of what I was looking for.
Makes sense.
What if they just like straight up reboot the Clone Wars?
Damn it!
Just a
In a
hard
different
reboot
animation style, exact same
hard
story.
reboot, different animation style. They decide that, you know what, the whole canon legend situation with Clone Wars it's too confusing. You know what? Let's just make this easy for the fans. You know, that's Legends now.
That's Legends Clone Wars.
we're gonna make a new series that's just canon, and they start with the movie. You know, it's got really bad animation. It's got Jabba the Hutt's child in it. You know, voiced by Emmy winning actor
Jeremy Allen White. Yep. Okay, but no, make it worse, Corey. So that's all Legends, but Bad Batch is still canon for some ungodly reason. They'd be like, that's still canon.
Yeah, it's still canon for some reason.
They gotta lead into the Bad Batch, so it's all gonna end at the Bad Batch.
No,
right.
I think
that's a terrible idea. Please don't freaking do that.
Go too high.
I know.
I think the two most likely things are bringing it into this. If all the rumors about Rey being the center of Star Wars going forward, like how Mandalorian has kind of been the center of Star Wars for a while, is like the thing. Like everything spreads out from Mando and Grogu. I think if they want Rey to be the new central point of she's in every movie, or at least talked about every movie, she's talked about there. You got to have something involving the sequel trilogy timeline in animation.
Could be.
Or
listen, I have lots of really bad ideas for this.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Same.
We're chock full of them. How long is this show gonna be? We can just go.
I have so many bad ideas. What if they what if it's just a Mandalorian and Grogu animated show? It's just the adventures. That would listen, they need a win. Like the Star Wars TV shows have not been doing well. They need a win. That would freaking kill.
Like, listen,
kill.
We don't.
It would perform better than any animated project that Star Wars has ever freaking done. Is it the Adventures of Grogu and Mando? That's the show. The Adventures of Grogu and Mando. I kind of hate that. It's a bad idea, but it would freaking kill. It would make so much money. It would be ridiculous.
And you have to watch all of it because this takes place between season 3 of Mando and the movie. So it actually,
exactly.
We get to the movie and actually Mando is missing an arm, and he goes, I bet you're wondering about the red arm. And it's like, no, again.
I know.
Okay, that is terrible. I think they could do that. They could also.
Go ahead.
Republic. Do they want to do that? Do they want to go all back to Old Republic animation?
Listen, those freaking CGI videos that they made for this Old Republic MMO are still like literally the best Star Wars animated projects that have ever been. They were so cool.
When he throws the lightsaber to deflect it as that person's about to die is one of the coolest moments of my life.
When Satali Shan catches the freaking lightsaber with her bare hands in the woods when she's fighting Darth Malgus. Oh my gosh, it's just There's all the troopers hide behind the trees, and they're like he pulls the pin out of the grenade. Dude, it's so good. There's so much good stuff.
Awesome.
It's so good. Yeah,
it's just a big old war. I mean, that's the thing. Why the Clone Wars worked is because it's an animated show, but there was a galactic wide war going on.
The Star Wars, if you will.
Like, listen, I need to pick another grand galactic scope.
It's ready. It's for the taking. It's Jedi versus Sith. Large scale
Yes.
war. Just freaking do it
Yes.
in live action or in animation. I don't care. It doesn't. I don't care which one it has to be. But that would do so well. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know why they're so afraid of it. Honestly, like, KOTOR is on the top 100 games of all time list. Like, it is,
Yes.
like, by everybody. It's in the top 100 of everything. It's in a lot of people's top 10 games of all time. Like, the era is popular. They should really just do it. They should just do it. It would do well. I'm certain it would do well.
If you basically decide we're going to bookend the timeline, right? We're going to do the shows. We're animated show and Dawn of the Jedi all at the beginning. Then we're going to do some live action shows and Rey's movie where we're going to go forward. And then some books can fill in the middle and stuff like that. Like, there's everyone gets what they want. But Lucasfilm, we have to be okay that not everyone will watch everything. And maybe not everything will make $1 billion. So
except for that animated Mando and Grogu show. Everyone will watch that.
Will
and it'll make $1 billion. And then they'll have to do 12 seasons of it. And then they'll have to do a Disney Junior version that's like a younger audience to go to, that channel.
And then they'll be like, eventually they're going to say, actually, we're going to do 2 seasons of it. And then you can only get season 3 if you get the Disney, ESPN, Hulu bundle.
That's right.
So then
that's right. And then they'll make the Old Republic movie, and it'll make a record breaking $950 million. And they're still going to be like, well, it didn't perform as well as the animated Grogu show, so clearly it sucks.
Yeah.
So
and
we're
also,
going to kill the project.
We CGI'd the actors in for some reason to every single shot. So we spent $800 million on publicity. I don't know why we did that, but it lost money. Sorry.
We fired 7 writers, 4 directors, and we recast the entire cast twice. But I don't know why it didn't make any money.
Meanwhile,
man,
one of the directors is pitching a live studio audience comedy show of Cheers, a reboot of Cheers, but at Mos Eisley Cantina, where they have the same group of people there all the time. I mean,
I would watch that.
Is that person just you, Wes? Is it you who's pitching that?
Listen, some people want it. Listen, some people watch Nick at Night and are like, I used to watch that show when I was 15.
People are saying they want this, guys. The streets.
People are saying. I'm telling them now. They're not listening.
Hold on. In the chat, real quick, Eric Elliott, I gotta call you out because I kind of love this. They should have a what if show called Star Wars Infinities.
I know that would work.
I love What If.
So.
Charlie and I, my fiance, we watch What If. I know some people don't like it this season for some reason because you're like it's too silly, and I'm like, this is a What If alternate reality show. I like that idea. Like, what if Leia
Star Wars
had
Infinities
been the Jedi?
was
What if all?
that would be fun. Star Wars Infinities is literally basically that. So like, I mean, it's
just do it.
Yeah, just do that.
Just do it.
That's
There's
fine.
so many possibilities. Oh, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get to it, honestly, because
realistically, what do you think it's going to be?
Okay, real talk.
You're putting the money on the roulette wheel. Okay. What is the animated TV show going to be? I think it's something we already know. I think it's either one of the two is Vision/Tales. One of those shows.
Yes. There's only one show.
Yes, I don't think the two shows are Visions and Tales. I think it's Vision/Tales is one of those shows, and then there's a second one. What is it?
I think if chips on the table, we're actually calling it. I think it is going to be a post Return of the Jedi pre-Force Awakens. I think it's going to be a little bit of political stuff, but I think it's going to be more Clone Warsy. I think they want to go back to a bunch of different small stories. Maybe there's a Mon Mothma arc with Leia building the New Republic. Maybe there's a bounty hunter arc where Mandalorian and Grogu do come in. Like, why not have them in it? Like, if that's your time period, just do it. Like, there's those Cad Bane weirdo episodes that would happen every once in a while and made him a huge character. I think they're going to take that timeline and call it like Star Wars New Republic or whatever they want to call it. I think that's what it is.
Now that you said that,
rebuilding the galaxy,
and they want to make it centered around Mandalorian and Grogu, I think you're right. Like they have to be
they'll be
piece.
in it.
Yes, they have to be a piece.
Like every other show, he'll show up in the middle for like 2 episodes.
Yes, not even 2 episodes. They just show up. They're just like, hey. And then that's it. Like, you just show them, but it's within the timeline, so like it feeds off of that, and then apparently they're in like the the Infinity Wars, Star Wars version, and then you just like see those typical characters that are from that animated show that is not named yet.
Yeah. And more Clone Wars, less Bad Batch, less one ensemble going through a one story from A to B, 70 episodes through. I think we want to do more groups.
Yeah,
I
can see that.
Chips on the table. That's what I think. What do you think, Corey?
I think that as well. I think it's Mando and Grogu and something with them. Like, honestly, like as much as that would be goofy. Some post Return of the Jedi, money is on there. If I had to put an alternative on something else, I would say something else in the 19 years between episode 3 and 4. Unfortunately, something else in
they
there.
They can't resist it.
I know. I don't think they can. I literally don't think they can. Something about with Darth Vader and Rebellion versus Empire. I really don't think they can resist it. Like, I don't know what
end all these clones. So I mean, I want to use them.
No. I don't know what other end you could put it at. I guess. I mean, it's just so saturated.
Like, God, we've made money every time we've done this. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay.
I know some guy is yelling about that, and he's unfortunately right.
Right.
I mean, they will just have to ignore basically all the comics that happen, in that Rebellion Empire era. But maybe whatever.
The comics are currently ignoring a bunch of stuff anyway. So
that's true. That's true.
I think when in 2014 they said everything is going to tie in, nothing's ever going to contradict, they could not have fathomed how much content there was going to be created. And this is not a dig on them not being able to keep everything straight and not to contradict stuff. I don't know how you do that with 10,000 stories. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
All right. Wes, what do you think? Tips to the table.
No. It's just Mandalorian. Then they show him they do it. All they do is a flashback to them meeting Grogu, and everybody's like, "I remember that," and that's it.
What a great time!
No, it's gonna be
flashbacks of live action.
And I was hoping that it'd be something like maybe after Star Wars Resistance, definitely dealing with the First Order or with anything that happens in like a slightly before Episode 7. But I think now that, I mean, you could put them within that time frame, right? In Episode 7, they just, where the hell did they go?
Well,
we don't know. Actually,
I don't know, because what happens in the movie?
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
What happens in Mandogu and then the Filoni? Because that's the only reason why I think they might not do it, is because those two, whatever happens in the animated show, they've been punting a lot of stuff that's not live action to make sure live action has runway.
Another fun random idea. What if they have a group that's not super oversaturated? What about the Mandalorians? What if we made the show about the Mandalorians? They've been up to some stuff.
Oh, the Mandalorians.
Yeah, the Mandalorians. not the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Mandalorians.
Oh God. Oh man, that ass is gonna have to be like right at
I know.
the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Family House, like Game of Thrones stuff, like.
Oh God! Did you guys ever hear about when Jim Cameron pitched Aliens? What he did, how he got it made?
No.
Well, this is what this ties into it. What I think Dave Filoni did. He probably said, "Guys, I know what the new show is going to be," and he writes the Mandalorian on a whiteboard, and then at the end of Mandalorian, he just makes a $, and it's Mandalorian.
I forgot him. Yeah,
Which is what James Cameron did to make Aliens. He just wrote Alien $, and made Aliens. I mean, maybe it's possible. I think that there was a definite element, though, of Clone Wars having Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Yoda, like,
yeah, maybe
them having some really recognizable characters. They got to have at least something for a touchstone. Like, Bad Batch was really, really good, and I think worked because it was Clone Wars, and Clone Wars Season 7 is still the best-rated television episodes in Star Wars history. By, like, seeing that Season of Mandalore is 9.9 on IMDb still.
For sure.
So you had a lot of goodwill. But
OT characters would be safe. I really think it's something like that. It's either OT characters or it's Mando.
Yep. Well, whatever is coming our way, I'm sure, again, we will get a glimpse once Celebration hits in April. I'm realizing we're putting a lot of stakes on Celebration, but I think we'll get it. But in the meantime, we are about to witness the finale of yet another live-action Star Wars TV show. Now, it still feels really remarkable to say that, honestly, but it's true. Skeleton Crew will finish its first season tomorrow evening at the time of this recording. Now, if you listen to last week's show, you'll know that we've all been remarkably surprised by the show's high quality throughout the season. So the very real possibility that tomorrow is the last time we'll ever see these characters is a bit of a bummer, but we're not there yet. So let's see what we think is going to happen by the time that the final credits roll. Now, full spoilers ahead for everything except the finale, all right? If you're not caught up Skeleton Crew, do it. It's fantastic, but we're going to get into that because this is our final one before the end. So, fellas, let me ask, we're checking in. How are we feeling going into the finale tomorrow? Are you sad? Are you excited? How's the vibes?
Not great. Probably the way all those kids and their parents their parents don't know anything. The way their kids are feeling, not great. Not great, Jod. Not feeling great.
Not great, Jod.
Listen,
okay.
Jod was a big old a-hole in that last
Oh my
episode.
God. I loved it. I can't believe they let him go that far.
I can't believe they let him go that far. It was
he's a scoundrel with a heart of gold. Nah.
Yeah.
No,
Nope.
maybe he just sucks, actually.
Maybe go kill kids for money. Maybe he was just a pirate like he literally always said he was, guys.
What about you, Wes?
I think you're right. We talking about I mean, the guy killed somebody in what's supposed to be a kid's show. When's the last time you saw? I mean, you see that
They
like
didn't
he
show
killed
it.
droids.
You guys didn't kill somebody. They were helpless, and he shot them in the head.
Yes.
He executed someone.
Uh,
I mean, at least the guy gave him an option of airlock, and then he could maybe hold his breath long enough to get attached to another ship. But
Wes, I know you went to school in Texas, but absolutely not.
what are you talking about? That's freaking.
I've seen Total Recall. Okay,
Eric. It is freaking canon that you can survive in space.
Yeah, it's
in
true.
Star Wars, because Princess Leia was there for like 3 minutes.
All right, you know what? You're right, and he also had the Force. Dang
And
it.
all she had to do was walk with the cane for like 10 minutes afterwards, and then she's back to
All
normal.
right.
So
All right, well, Jod's a Skywalker. I forgot. My bad.
that's true.
he is. He's a Skywalker. That's what's gonna happen.
All right.
Please.
Listen, I still think he's gonna be redeemed, though. I think this is Star Wars and this is a kids
so?
show, and I think he's based on Long John Silver, who is
That's true.
who is a
Actually
iconic
true?
character. Iconic character, and I mean, they call him Captain Silvo, for Christ's sake. Like
Yeah.
he
And
is
he
John
does betray
Silver.
Jim at the end, and then has the final twist, right?
Yes,
Before he
exactly.
escapes.
That's what's gonna happen.
That might be it.
That's a lot of money, though. I can tell you that.
It is one credit seemed to be something people would kill over, and there are 1,139 vaults filled with that kind of money. Like, I don't think anyone is that good.
Something screwy is definitely going on this planet, though. I don't know what the heck is going on. Do you
Yeah.
think do you think the pirate captain is like living in a droid and he's actually the administrator? like
I
the
don't know.
Emperor's guys.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, like
who are the Emperor's guys? What am I talking? The messengers.
Emperor's guys.
The guys in red.
No, the
guy.
things that-
His guys. Everybody's got some guys. It's his guys.
the robot guys with the faces and the stuff.
You mean your
know, the
people?
guys.
It's just guys, you know.
Oh my god! Every time I get it on top tip of my tongue, I just think the guys.
It's the guys, you know.
They carry out Operation Cinder. They're like the,
Right.
Yeah, the
And
messengers.
they got the iPad face, right?
yes,
The iPad
guys,
face.
guys, the iPad face.
You guys knew exactly who the hell I was talking about when I said that. Yes, maybe the pirate king captain dude he's got some guys, and that's why he's running this sketchy
You also
freaking
could've
planet.
Simplified it and say he's like Grievous. He's basically just kind of like a droid with
Yeah,
eyes.
that could work. That could work.
If they
Grievous has
tied
got
that
organs.
into Operation Cinder,
That's
I would
right.
be blown away for sure.
Those
But,
freaking satellite things look just like the Cinder
They look
killer
just
planet.
like
Literally
I-
identical.
I think because there's so much that has to happen, or that could happen, right? Because I think the kids, they're gonna kill kids on this. I think Jod might be killed by his own greed, like drowning in the money when they like the mine explodes. Like Jod, come on! He's like, no, I can save it. You know, that's very piratey.
Yeah.
But there's no way that this show can end, and there are 1,100 vaults of Old Republic gold sitting on a planet that we know where it is now. There's that planet has has to get Alderonded. All the money has to be chocolate. Like something has to happen.
It's literally just been sitting here printing money for like 10,000 years. There's so much money on this planet. It would
how does it
Are you talking about a plot hole?
It would break the galactic economy. Didn't you guys study macroeconomics in college? You could just put money into the economy. It would destroy everything.
What happens?
Imagine can you imagine what the Munes would say? They would lose their damn minds.
The value would plummet. Okay.
They'd be like, I can't do this. No, Thrawn's Star Destroyer shows up from the Ahsoka show, jumping out of hyperspace. It arrives at Atten, and he just grabs all the money and buys the galaxy. And that's there you go. That's it.
And that's how the First Order started. See, it's a First Order origin story. That's where they got all the money to purchase all those damn Star Destroyers that we had no idea were just hanging out.
Old Republic credits. Yeah. Old Republic credits.
Snoke shows up. He's wearing a hat, you know.
The dumb leaf hat, iconic as always. There's a few things I need to know at the end of, and I guess need to know is hard because tell a story you want to tell. I'm not in charge of anything. Who cares? I would like to know, one, the fate of the planet, like Atten itself. The kids, yes, obviously their story. I want to know what happens to the planet. I want to know how much have the parents and the kids known about the galaxy? Like, because now the kids have left and seen a galaxy. I want to know what happens there. They have to like decide, make a decision on like, are we joining the galaxy? Are we fixing the economy? Do they fight inflation? Like, what happens there? And then what happens with John?
Do they fight
That's all I want.
But like, how much
economics are we getting?
How much do the parents even know themselves? Because they could be told, you know, what's going on out there, but they don't leave. Like, apparently nobody gets to leave. So that's an interesting point because they're like, I was going to tell you, like, you know, when you turned 21 and you had your first beer and like that you're actually stuck here forever and you can't get out.
Yeah. So you graduated. So what did they get told? Then how much of that is the actual truth?
I know.
Right.
I know.
Translation.
There's a big like Matrix conspiracy theory thing going on, and like I really need that to be explained. If that's not explained, and this show it finishes and it's just done forever, we never get season 2 of this show. I'm gonna be really upset.
Do they go hard like the Acolyte, like they know or they hope like that's gonna slam dunk they're gonna get season 2, and then they leave like a bunch of doors open, and then you know
it feels like it's going to slam dunk. It does, honestly.
It does.
Yeah.
I want to say that. He did say in an interview. He says we know what season 2 would be. Was his saying? He's like, we know what's going to happen. We know what that story could be, but they didn't write it with the assumption they were getting another one. Is what I which I think is a great way to write franchise television now. Unfortunately, like give us a full book, right?
I'm down for that.
But I think regardless of how it ends, I think the legacy of this show, as of now, if it keeps the average that it's getting right now, right? Like, the last game of the season, you still put up like 23 points. Like, you keep your averages high. This show is going to end as a remarkable success within the fan community. As far as
for sure,
proof of concept, execution, consistency across the board, like, really one of the smoothest released Star Wars projects that we've seen, which is
for sure
baffling.
For sure. I mean,
Crew.
I think it's Andor, Skeleton Crew, Mandalorian season 1, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. Like probably in my head. It's probably how I feel like it is. Honestly,
it wasn't supposed to happen.
I know.
Like,
show
me this show and I'll believe you. And then they come out with this, and then completely.
Well, it was going to be a movie, and then it was a show, and then COVID, and then Spider-Man. Like so many things against it, and somehow this is the one. They can't get Lando to happen, but they got Skeleton Crew to the finish line. Like
it works. Just telling fun stories inside the universe. It works. It works. I don't care about the money. Sorry, you can lose a bunch of money. I don't care how much it should cost. Like, just
you're fine. You know what? You're fine.
Just make good content. I know all these. The Disney is too wealthy of an organization anyway. I don't care how much money they lose. Like, screw them.
I give enough of mine already.
You know, it's not like I run a business that has everything to do with depending on Disney or anything. But I'm just saying, like, it's like they can afford it. It'd be fine.
Sponsorships.
Yeah.
Give me a buddy cop show in Star Wars on Coruscant. Yes, do it, you cowards. Do it.
Yeah. I will say I hope that if this show does end, I want them to be integrated into the galaxy at large, to be like, we're going to start sending out emissaries to Coruscant or whatever it may be, because I just want these people to show up again. I want the kids to be like be able to be put in books and stuff. Like, I think they're interesting enough characters. I think Jod is a really interesting character, and if he doesn't die crushed to death by Old Republic gold, maybe it'd be cool to see him again.
Maybe so.
Just keep the doors open.
I think we're done with all of them, though, honestly.
I think you are right.
I think we're done, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you know
Just conclude the story, though. That's all I want.
Beginning, middle, and end. And we'll find out tomorrow night. But yeah, a finale of Star Wars show. And then we are kind of in limbo until Andor comes out in April. Visions comes out. And then I'm sure, again, Star Wars Celebration will give us a big old runway for the rest of the year. I think it's going to be a really good Star Wars year. Not just because my favorite show in the history of the world is coming back to end. That's a big part of it. But I think we're going to be in for a really good time. And if this is the show that started it, I think we're in really, really, really good hands. But on that note, everybody, I think we did it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first live Youtini show. Again, we are going to be back every single Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern streaming. Of course, you'll still get this podcast now in the video on the YouTube channel if you want to watch later, or an audio podcast where it's always been. And we want to say a thank you to our entire United community, including Brian Dooley, Carl Sander, Anthony Shulo, James Taylor, and Michael Fry on our High Council for their amazing support. Be sure to tune in every single week where we're going to be bringing you the latest in Star Wars. Follow us on all of our social channels, Blue Sky, X, Instagram, all that good stuff. And make sure to check out youtini.com to stay up to date. We will see you next week. And until then, may the Force be with you.